The excitement of the FIFA World Cup is now streaming live on Fox One, the official English streaming platform to catch every unforgettable moment. Fox One brings the action straight to your screen so you never miss a goal. Download Fox One and experience the FIFA World Cup live.
Live from New York. It's the show that thinks, you know what, I'm doing what Wilds does. I'm just going to say what I think. It's the show thinks. It's the show that thinks France is on major upset alert. And the show that is without Kevin Wilds today and is going to be without me for like the last 20 minutes of the show because I am going to France, Morocco. Again, bro.
I got it.
It's always, whenever I'm not on the air, it's because I'm on a work trip.
Working.
Yeah, Tokyo. I went to
Playing
Tokyo
cards.
for the Tokyo World Baseball Classic, man on the ground. France, Morocco, and Boston, man on the ground.
Brew and I show up to work.
That's right. When I go to work, I come to work. I clock in, I stay clocked.
Yeah, we stay at work.
A tough 8 hours.
It's first things first. On today's show, Steph recruiting LeBron to the Bay. Should the Warriors go all in to land? I was going to say the GOAT. They'll just say to land.
The king.
The king. There we go. The king. That makes sense. Brew's Ravens have the 22nd best supporting cast, according to an article that, again, if not for the World Cup, would have led the show.
Built-in excuse. Built-in excuse for Lamar.
Are they asking too much of Lamar? And finally, it is Thursday, which means it is time for some motivation. Which World Cup superstars will be on the bud list? As we mentioned, Wilds is out today. He will be back tomorrow. I am Nick Wright, alongside Danny Parkins and Chris Broussard. Brew, anybody on the bubble of the bud list?
You know what? I almost put Christian Pulisic on. Even though he's done from playing, he took a hit.
Yeah,
He took a
so
hit,
much
and
so
he's still taking hits.
I'm surprised he's not on there. I mean, I'm not surprised.
He was
I've
number
seen the
one
list.
last week, that saved him.
That also,
you know what?
It really lost in the wake of the loss to Belgium. The bud list powers of the bud list have taken a hit.
That's how bad it was.
If he was number one.
If he would have been on today, though, that's a 4-year motivation.
Yeah, right.
But we start in Boston. World Cup quarters kicking off today at 4 Eastern. France taking on Morocco. Mbappe's team not only favorites in this match, and this surprised me, they are the biggest favorites of any team in the quarterfinals. Of the 4 games this weekend, France is the biggest favorites. I will be in attendance wearing a hat similar to the Brazil bucket hat that I bought.
Oh, no.
I have a Morocco bucket hat. I also spent
You get
yesterday.
a new shirt?
I spent yesterday trying to find the Morocco shirt. I was not able to exactly find it. I'll post a similar picture.
Good. The internet waits.
I said off top, I do think, and I'll explain why, that France is at the very least on upset alert. Brew, do you think France is on upset alert?
Not in the least bit.
Wow.
I mean, there's always anything could happen.
Yeah,
one
single
and done.
elimination.
Outside of that, no way, no how to steal from Rob Parker. Look, France, I get it. They only won 1-0 over Paraguay in their last game, so maybe some people are a little down on them. But look, they have been fantastic in this tournament. They are the only team to win all 5 of their games in regulation. All right, only team in the tournament. They lead the tournament with a +12 scoring advantage over their opponents. And Morocco, their defense hasn't been all that stingy. All right, they needed penalty kicks to beat the Netherlands. Haiti scored 2 goals on them, was up 2-1, was up 1-0, then 2-1. That happened to be Haiti's first ever goal in the World Cup. What in the world are they going to do with Mbappe, Dembele, and Olise? I mean, so I just think that I am saying, I guess this is a blowout in soccer terms, but I'm thinking 3-1.
Yeah.
That
classifies as a blowout.
Maybe 2-0, but 3-1. I'm thinking a 2-goal advantage.
It's weird. Sometimes 1-0 feels like a blowout.
Yeah,
the U.S. has lost some 1-0 blowouts.
The France-Paraguay game felt like that.
Because Paraguay was
just like holding on for dear life,
Yeah.
not really trying to score.
Right.
So I
think
you'd
France,
be stunned. You think the odds makers are right that France is in the best position of any team.
I would
this
be
weekend.
stunned.
I'd be pretty stunned too. I just don't think that you are holding France to one goal. I mean, it was 2-0 last time in the semis in the last World Cup. And Saibari's injury is huge. He's been the best player.
Is he definitely out? Or
he is.
He's
definitely
out.
He is definitely out. And so I mean, he just got a $50 million transfer fee to go play for Bayern Munich. He's one of the best players in the world. He's been their best player in this tournament. He's been their best goal scorer. To your point, the plus 12 goal differential, when you also say it, they've outscored their opponents 14-2. Right, so like the offense been there, defense has been there, won every game in regulation. If they win 3 more matches in regulation, they'd be the first undefeated champion to win all their matches in regulation since Brazil in 2002. So, yes, it's like the old any given Sunday, it's single elimination soccer, anybody can win. And I do think that France's path has probably been the easiest path of any quarterfinal team other than Argentina.
So I'm gonna,
but they've dominated.
They have dominated. So that's where I want to
trailed.
So that's where I kind of want to go because listen, to quibble a bit. Saibari's been their best goal scorer. Hakimi's Morocco's best player.
He is their best player.
And I think you could argue has been their best player in the tournament, even though he hasn't scored. But Saibari is very important. I don't think he's necessarily the biggest injury in this game. And I apologize if I mispronounce the France midfielder's name, Tchouaméni, and I think I did mispronounce it. I apologize. But in a game like this, Tchouaméni, pardon me, in a game like this, I think Saibari might be more replaceable as a true 9 than Tchouaméni is going to be for France. So there is that piece of it as far as that at the very least they are both dealing potentially being less than 100%. Then there is the path piece of it, which is, Argentina's had the easiest path, and Argentina has struggled somewhat. Yeah. France has had in my opinion, the second easiest path and has dominated people. But I just wanted to put it in terms. So toughest opponents that teams have faced in this World Cup. Norway, again, that's a weird one because they rested guys against France. But they played France and Brazil. Morocco's played 2 top 10 teams. Spain's played 1 top 10 team and a top, in 20th. England, 10 and 13. Switzerland, number 11. Belgium, US and Senegal. And then France, just Senegal, and then Norway's backup. So it's really, they weren't playing the number 19 team Norway. So that, to me, is a mark in the Morocco might be able to present something that they haven't dealt with yet in this tournament, where they are clearly the best team they faced this tournament. And in my opinion, they haven't even really faced a team close to as good as Morocco in this tournament. You then add the fact that Morocco, this tournament and dating back to the last World Cup, has played damn near everybody that matters in the world. Not quite, but they have beaten Belgium. They drew with Croatia, which is not on there because Croatia is right outside the top 10. They beat Spain. They beat Portugal. They did lose to France, as you mentioned. They drew with Brazil. They beat the Netherlands. So this is, even if France is the best team they have faced, it's not going to feel like quite the jump that I think it's going to feel like on the France side of things. And so I think that the best team France has played was Senegal, and that was the game that they got scolded for at halftime, when it was, is it arrogance or is it confidence? Yep. And so I think the smart money's obviously on France. France has been the best team in this tournament. But I also think Morocco can win the tournament. I think Morocco is good enough that they can actually win the World Cup. And if that's true, then I think they certainly have, not just the puncher's chance, but that this game could be 0-0 at halftime and could be 1-1, after 90 minutes, and we do finally get France really pushed to the brink. I think, and again, maybe that's me hoping for a good game because I'm going to it, and because I'm rooting against Wilds just to spite him because he rooted against Brazil to spite me. But I think Morocco's an excellent team, and this is not going to be the most lopsided of the quarterfinals games like the odds makers think.
Listen, Josh is the foremost soccer expert, on the team here at First Things First, and he thinks this game's going to PKs. So, Morocco.
Bang.
Morocco has a ton of speed.
Josh, that's a bad take.
I agree. I wanted to give him a little love.
Yeah.
But one of the components of an upset across most sports is if the favorite takes the underdog lightly. And I don't see.
They're not going to take them.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Especially coming off that 1-0 win over Paraguay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Based on the 1-0 game over Paraguay and the fact that they played them in the semis last World Cup, I just see no way that France, like the narrative of this game is like, wow, France overlooked Morocco.
No, that's not going to happen. I agree with you.
What do you think Morocco's game plan? Like, do you think they'll try to just be
a better
and
version of what Paraguay did? Okay. So that the low block Paraguay put on France did bother them. I mean, they didn't score a goal in open play. They needed a penalty for it. But with more of an eye towards countering. You know what I mean? Paraguay was in the low block, and if they got the ball, they're like, just kick the field.
They're trying to cover the spread.
And and that's where Hakimi, as a right back, but also a guy who can score goals, is really interesting. It's what Netherlands was scared of, which is why Netherlands played so conservative. So I don't think Morocco's going to try to get into an open field competition. And in the semis last year, France scored immediately. There was 1-0 4 minutes in, and Morocco still didn't panic, had opportunities. France added a second goal like around the 80th minute. But that was a 2-0 game that felt closer than a 2-0 game. And so I think Morocco's going to be confident. We'll see. France has been the best team, but I think Morocco has a real shot here. All right, let's go to Team USA. And I got to say, I don't get this. America's still reeling from the 4-1 loss to Belgium. A lot of questions about the future of the team, including what to do with head coach Mauricio Pochettino, evidently. This is from our colleague, Fox Sports' Doug McIntyre. The headline, for U.S. Soccer, hiring Mauricio Pochettino was a coup. Bringing him back would be indefensible. Strong words. Yes. He then goes on to say, the standard Pochettino holds his players to also applies to him. Had the 54-year-old overseen the sort of capitulation he did on Monday with his national team, meaning Argentina, at a World Cup hosted in his home country, he would have been fired before leaving the stadium. It would be the same in Brazil or France or Germany or any other nations whose success the USA hopes to one day emulate. Brew, what'd you make of this article?
Look, he tried to make a good point. He said, in the 8 games that Pochettino's coached against elite, like European clubs, we've lost 7. Like he tried to back up his point. Yeah. But I think we would be very, very fortunate if Pochettino chooses to come back. Like this to me, and the countries he mentioned are all way ahead of us. They're on another level. This would be like if Michael Malone, the Denver Nuggets former coach, led them to a championship, went to Slovenia or Nigeria, and they got blasted by a superior team in the Olympics, and then they're ripping Michael Malone like he's got to go. Like
in the U.S., they'd fire him.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Like no, we were not. You guys know my take. Belgium was just on a different level. They were better than us. I do get we made some bad mistakes. I don't blame Pochettino for Freeze's brain freeze, if you will, on that third goal. But I think he had a lot to do, even if we weren't as good as it looked early on because we were beating lesser competition. The fact is that team galvanized America and had it believing we could do something special, and the players believed it. The players thought they could do something special. I credit Pochettino with that, and I think 4 years of him kind of getting our team ready, I just think we'd be much better. And look, I said it. I didn't think we were nearly as good as Belgium. FoxSports.com put out its top 100 players going into the tournament. Belgium had 3 in the top 50. We had none. Our highest ranked player was actually Weston McKennie at 73. Pulisic was like 78 or 79, something like that. But the bottom line is we just didn't have the talent.
Right.
And I thought Pochettino did a good job. I get it. We weren't ready for that
Nobody
last
did
game,
a good job in the final game, including Pochettino. Like that criticism is fair. This to me, I'll let you go, Danny. This to me, though, is 3 bridges too far.
Right. So the argument on like bringing him back would be indefensible. That's just not true.
That's indefensible.
Right.
That's an unacceptable opinion.
Right. Like, that's the thing that I did have an issue with from the article because, like, he hasn't had a full cycle, right? He came in kind of in between World Cups in controversial fashion with moving on from Berhalter and bringing Pochettino in. So he has not had a full time with his roster. He did not even have all of his players, as largely documented with Pulisic and the Gold Cup, like playing in the lead up to this tournament.
And not to mention, Pulisic played half the World Cup?
Right, didn't play half the World Cup. Look, they got outshot 15-7 in the game against Belgium. Like they clearly were not a good enough team. They got dominated. But what I would say, like what my argument about Pochettino since that game has been, I do think he is escaping criticism other than this article. I mean, like, Nick, you came on the air the day after the game and said the moment was far too big from the opening kick. They were rattled.
Yes.
Normally, if we have a big game where we are favored and you are at home and you are rattled, and
some of that falls on coaching.
Some of it falls on coaching. I don't think other than this article, I haven't seen any criticism of Pochettino.
So I think that's totally fair, and I do think that it is Malik Tillman on one side of the ledger and basically everyone else involved in the U.S. men's national team on the other side of the ledger on, how much, do you have culpability for what the hell happened in that game? Like, I think Tillman's like, I had a pretty big goal again. Yeah. And then everybody else, like, I could have done my job better. And you are correct that there would be more, for a team that came out looking, I feel like if we were a little more sophisticated soccer-wise, we might be able to be like, they looked unprepared. Yeah, I'm not going to levy that because I don't really... Do I really know what prepared exactly looks like, except for it was making obvious mistakes. So I do think he could be criticized more heavily under different circumstances, maybe deservedly so. I also do understand that particularly in Europe at the club level, guys get fired. Like they sign the contract that Portland head coach.
Micah Nori.
Micah Nori fired. That's pretty standard for the best teams in Europe. It's like 1 year with an option, and you might be fired mid-season. So that is different. But to me, my biggest issue with this idea, and I'm not trying to attack Doug, he's a colleague, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, I just disagree with it, is first of all, you have not presented to me, and then we are getting who? Like this, it was a coup when we hired him. It's why we had to pay him as much as we did. A guy who has coached Chelsea and PSG and has that resume to come in. It's not like Pep Guardiola is dying to take over this squad. So there's that piece of it. The other piece of it is, even if you are certain you can get a really good manager in, how much does starting a new program, a new thing, and it would need to, they would have had to have no thing to build on or believe in for me to want them to change managers after this World Cup.
Right.
And so that's the part of it. He did not, and the team did not perform well in that Belgium game at all. But they looked super prepared in every other game. They rose to the challenge in every other game. Yes, I understand those are worse teams, but they didn't eke out wins. Right. And to your point against Turkey, our backups were playing Turkey to a draw for with a minute left in that game. I just think I think we will be very fortunate if he signs the extension and we get to see what we look like with a whole cycle. Right. And I also think where he will be able to take a somewhat firmer hand. If he has the full cycle and everything, I think things like Gold Cup participation or if we play in the Copas, if he wants those to be mandatory, I think he will be able to do that more easily.
No question.
Coming off this.
Yeah. So the only thing I would say, I do want more of an explanation. I mean, it's the record against UEFA teams, against European nations, right? Other than Bosnia, who is the last time that the last two wins against European teams are against Bosnia, and they're one of the worst teams. Like, it's 2 losses to Turkey, yes, 1 with backups, 2 to Belgium, Switzerland, Portugal, and Germany. The guy's coached in Europe with two of the top teams. He's Argentinian. He is supposed to figure out a way to bridge the gap and the difference between us and those teams. And 1-7 is 1-7.
I think that's totally fair. And maybe, and maybe he's not able to bridge that gap. Maybe but it is, to me, it would be a far greater risk to be like, all right, we're once again firing a head coach, rather than bring him back and see what he can build on. Also, I still like him singing that John Denver song.
I agree with that.
He really, the whole thing seemed awesome. All right, we're going to stick with U.S. soccer for a minute. Christian Pulisic released a statement on IG yesterday saying, quote, "Tough to find the words. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who believed. The support carried us all the way through. It simply wasn't good enough from us in the end, and I wanted to deliver so much more." It's an extra period there. That's okay. "I still feel blessed to be a part of this team. The memories this summer will last a lifetime. It's just the start for us and this sport in America." So there's a million ways we can take this, and we're going to talk with Dax later about the idea that, whether or not this is a launching pad for soccer in America. But yesterday, Brew, KW, kicked around the idea of, in the Christian Pulisic story, this is the low moment that then catapults him to greater heights. Do you think this World Cup will prove to be motivation for Pulisic, and that he will rebound from it better than he was before?
He may play great at the club level, but if we're looking at the next World Cup, I don't see that, because he didn't appear incredibly motivated for this World Cup, right? He didn't play in the Gold Cup. He rested for that. And then in the World Cup, he sat out a game. Whether or not he could have played through it, who knows? When he asked out of the last game, it wasn't he was just incredibly motivated, at least it appeared, to play in this World Cup when he's smack dab in the middle of his prime. We look at even maybe some of the examples Wild's used. Jordan using Detroit as motivation. You could see the motivation Jordan had and how much it ate him up that he kept losing. Or LeBron against Dallas. Or, you see the pain that even Wemby this year against the Knicks. And the emotion he showed just in getting to the finals. We didn't see that from Pulisic. And look, maybe just a different personality, but he's 27. The injuries are piling up. It's not impossible that in 4 years we'll see a better Pulisic in the World Cup, but I think it is very unlikely that he would be better. He'll be older, maybe out of his prime, more injuries.
It's also the other reason the LeBron or Jordan comps don't work is if the LeBron comp for soccer is, when 4 World Cups ago, it looked like Messi was never going to get it done with Argentina. And they were talking about him, having to, live in Spain forever because, he was so good with his club team and they hadn't delivered there. It was a historically great all-time legend, as opposed to a really good player who happens to be the best, the most talented player that this country has produced. I just don't think asking him
on a world
to follow that path is a realistic thing. Go ahead.
You and I are pretty aligned on that one. He is the best player this country has ever produced, but he's not a top 50 player in the world. So holding him to the standard of an all-time great is totally unreasonable.
But what about I agree. Nobody expects him to go out there and look like Messi or something. But what about playing better, significantly better than he did in this tournament?
Certainly possible, but the guys who dominate soccer and play like stars after 30 tend to be stars. It is a young man's game.
Yeah.
So if we're just talking about the next World Cup, because I'm not ruling out that he could have a great season for Milan.
I would expect him to.
Or he could have a great Copa. You know what I mean? If he continues to do that. But at 31 with a guy with a bunch of injuries, he better not be the best player on Team USA going into the next World Cup.
So this is what has to me been alarming. Nobody's got his back. And the American soccer royalty appear to have been waiting for this moment. And now I know some people might say, oh, that's jealousy, or that is the fact that, you know, they don't have great, super tight relationships to begin with and all that stuff. But the fact that, like, Landon Donovan, who is not a flamethrower, he is not a hot take guy. But he then, yesterday, again, on a different platform, came out and talked about basically, and he kept saying, I don't blame Christian. I blame the people around him. But we talked about how, like, not treating people well and not talking to the broadcasters and not being available for things. And so there does seem to be, and I don't know Christian Pulisic at all, but from the people who do, they feel like he is entitled and that he has not taken on the burden of being Captain America with the requisite seriousness and toughness it demands. Again, that is, I was very annoyed throughout the tournament that I thought he was getting knocked out of, you know, games with injuries other guys would have played through. That was my opinion from afar. These indictments from these folks are far more stinging and far more informed than me watching it from afar. So that only adds to, you know, how big of a fork in the road this is for this player. It either is the ultimate motivation. Like all of you guys think, the guys who are supposed, the guys who are supposed to have my back more than anybody, all these guys who, by the way, none of them lifted a trophy for the U.S. Like none of them have like this unimpeachable resume. They're all coming after me. Or it can break somebody. And it can make somebody be like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm like you said, I'll still be good for my club team, make a lot of money, be those things. I, from afar, have not seen the type of athlete that I would expect this to be good for. Some, like with Wemby, you said, like, this is going to be good. Sure. You could be wrong, but you're pretty confident, like, who he is, how he's going to take this. It doesn't seem like he is that type of guy. Doesn't seem that way. I'm not saying it's going to be the case.
And in a situation, if this doesn't, like if Wemby doesn't get motivated, and then you weren't that guy. Correct. You weren't that guy. And so we'll see if Pulisic is that guy. I do think quickly this whole climate where guys are taking shots at him, it could allow Pochettino to coach him harder and maybe even the team better because you don't have to walk on eggshells.
I think that's
with Captain America.
No, I think that's absolutely right. All right, coming up next, we've mentioned LeBron a few times in that segment. Let's just do a segment on it.
Let's do it. It's been a while.
What do the Warriors need to do to entice LeBron to come there? And we are counting down to France, Morocco. I'm taking one for the team and missing winners and losers.
You're a real hero.
On the ground in Boston to see Mbappe and Hakimi in what could be one of the games of the tournament today, 4 Eastern on Fox, live from Boston. Back here on First Things First, counting down to Norway, England. Saturday, 5 Eastern on Fox. Saturday's a doubleheader now. Today, afternoon game, tomorrow an afternoon game. Saturday we got this one, and then Argentina live from Kansas City at night. This one live from Miami. Saturday afternoon, 2 days, 6 hours, 27 minutes from now. Moving on to the NBA. Steph Curry enjoying his offseason yesterday, playing some golf in Tahoe. One day, Danny Parkin's going to be playing in the Tahoe tournament.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Someone needs to invite me to this tournament.
Is that nice? Huh?
Danny's a really good golfer. He's a bigger golfer than he is celebrity right now, which is why he can't get the invite.
I need an invite
to Tahoe.
badly.
He took some time after the round to talk about potentially teaming up, he being Steph, not Danny, teaming up with LeBron. Take a listen.
More so, I'm interested to just play golf with LeBron. We'll handle the basketball stuff, but I want to see the golf LeBron free agent. He's out here really grinding on the game, but I'm sure, you know, we obviously would love to play together. Hopefully it happens, but you know, he's deserved the opportunity and the right to take his time with the decision.
Brew, Turns out, by the way, because there's another wrinkle to this, Anthony Davis, previously untouchable. AJ Debance and Anthony Davis were the untouchable assets for the Wizards. Maybe a little touchable, as there is an asking price reportedly, but it's very, very high, and maybe too high for the Warriors. However, if you were to trade for Anthony Davis, you might also get LeBron as an added bonus on it. So, should the Warriors go all in to add LeBron, meaning pay what it takes to get Anthony Davis?
Well, to your point, if Anthony Davis really is available, it's not guaranteed other teams would offer more than the Warriors can because of his injuries and all that. But I would think that a team or many teams would offer more than the Warriors can. So that's the thing. Even if he's available, can they really get him? Jimmy Butler's expiring contract and picks. Some picks and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, on that note, just quickly, he certainly was available from Dallas.
Yeah,
and nobody offered more than the Wizards, which was not much. So there is real concern about if you trade for AD, does he and Rich Paul want a new contract, and do people is that killing his trade value?
Well, look, if we put that into the all-in, if I'm the Warriors, I am not offering him a long-term contract. I'll consider it. Let's see how this year goes. And then I'll consider it if they were to get him. But that is not a prerequisite like, if we trade for him, we're going to lock him up for the next 4 years. But all things taking that out, I think they should go all in to get LeBron. Not because I think with AD and LeBron they would win the West. I think they'd be a really good team and have more than like a puncher's chance. But, I would not put them with San Antonio and OKC just yet. And then there's the injuries you'd have to worry about with all of them. But I would go all in on it if I'm the Warriors because you have Steph. They have to maximize the Steph Curry window. Whether you win championships or not, this is also a business. And if they got LeBron, but it add in AD, and they are arguably the biggest story, the circus of next season. It's something we've never seen. They would be the darlings of the NBA. We've never had the two best players of an era team up. All right?
That's right.
That'd be like Russell and Wilt.
Yeah.
Magic and Bird. Shaq and Duncan. Kobe and LeBron. Never have we seen the absolute two, and I think that's clear, right? Durant was great, but these are the two best players of this era.
The second and third best players of the era teamed up.
Steph and KD, right.
Yeah, and they were pretty good.
And you could say Kareem and Matt, Kareem was kind of on the tail end. But never have we seen this. So it would just for the entertainment value, they would be a very good team. And if some other teams get banged up, who knows? But, they should absolutely go in because this is your time.
For the entertainment value, sure. But that's generally speaking not how we run basketball teams. And I understand the idea of going all in and hemorrhaging some of your future for Steph. But there are more than one ways to do that. If you are willing to trade Jimmy Butler's expiring contract, multiple first-round picks, and multiple first-round pick swaps, you can get better than 32-year-old Anthony Davis, who played 20 games last year, 9 the year before, and 42 the year before that. I mean, could you get Trey Murphy for that?
But that doesn't get you LeBron.
Okay.
It doesn't
How great does that make
Trey Murphy
is a very good player.
A very good player on one of the best contracts in the NBA, who is a 26-year-old 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
How far you think that's taken him?
I don't know, but also you've also put it into the ether that the only way LeBron goes to Golden State is if Anthony Davis is there. Maybe. Or he might want to play with Draymond and Steph and Trey. We don't know that AD is a prerequisite to getting LeBron James. We just think that it might be because he won a title.
Yeah, but I think their ceiling is higher with AD than Trey Murphy. I think Trey Murphy, here's the thing, and this is where I totally agree with Brew. That when you have one of the greatest players ever who is still awesome, the future is irrelevant.
Right.
I have believed that forever. It was my biggest complaint about the Cavs, it's amazing LeBron is still in the zeitgeist here, but 8 years ago, or 9 years ago, actually, technically, when Kyrie was like, I'm leaving.
Right.
And the Cavs could have traded him for a deal centered around Paul George. But the owner of the Cavs was like, no, we need to have assets for if LeBron leaves. And that asset became Colin Sexton.
Right.
It was a Nets pick that the Celtics included in Isaiah Thomas deal. And guess what? 8 years later, the Cavs finally got back to a conference finals, and now their plan for contention is maybe LeBron comes back.
Right.
Because the Warriors post-Steph, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but your chances of winning a championship right now so far outstrip what it's going to be like when you have to, once again, try to find one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. And if you can give up a 7th grader and a 6th grader to be named later in order to get Anthony Davis, which gets you LeBron, and then this is your team, I do think that, again, the health is obviously a huge concern. But that team could contend. Again, I'm not your point that if you wouldn't install them ahead of the Thunder or the Spurs, so be it. That team absolutely, if they were healthy in the playoffs, could contend for a championship. And the trading, using those assets to trade for the 27th best player in the league because he's on a top 10 contract, and so you then have a way to not bottom out post-Steph, I just hate that idea. I just hate, I don't.
It's going to be rough when Steph's gone.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
I agree with that.
Right? It's happened to almost every team, and then you got to work your way back. But
I just have no faith in building a thing around Anthony Davis, and I have no reason to believe that Anthony Davis would not come with a contract extension.
Well, that would be the deal breaker for me. I would not guarantee.
So I guess my point is I wouldn't care about that part either.
So would you give him a contract if that's what it took?
If Rich Paul and Anthony Davis are like, I need max years and max money, I'd say we got to be reasonable here. But if he wants max money with a couple years tacked on to the final year of his deal, I would do that. I would say, hey, I believe LeBron's going to play 2 more years. Steph, let's assume he's got at least 2 more years, in him at a super high level. I would say let's go for it over these next 2 years. And if on the final year we owe Anthony Davis $68 million on a expiring deal, then so be it. They already kind of did this with Jimmy Butler. They traded for Jimmy Butler. Right. They gave him the contract extension. He got hurt, so it didn't work out. But they've shown the willingness to. Okay, all right, so we're going to go to the Lakers here? Yeah, we are. Moving on to LeBron's former team. Lakers are reportedly adding Kevon Looney while also reportedly pursuing Jonathan Kuminga. Those guys used to play for the Warriors. So this is what their offseason looks like so far. They have added Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton. He's just getting mentioned all the time. My guy Quentin Grimes, Jalen Hardy, Kevon Looney, and Mamu. They have lost every single person that played for them in the playoffs last year. Their starting 5 when they beat the Rockets. There it is. Because Ayton, Ayton's on there. And they've also brought back Austin Reeves. Brew, should Luka view this Lakers offseason as a success?
Yes. Now, I don't know that they've gotten better. But I'm serious.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've gotten better. They won 50-something games. They were the 3 seed. Yeah. They won a playoff series against a decent Houston team. But they weren't going to win the championship with what they had. And so it was time to move on from 41-year-old LeBron. They got better in that they finally put a team, the type of team around Luka that he wants and needs to have a chance to win the championship. Obviously, if LeBron were even just 36, 37, you're not making these moves. But for the situation they're in, this is the type of team that he led to the finals with Dallas in 2024. Austin Reeves not as good as Kyrie, but he's in that role.
Yes.
You got Walker Kessler, the rim-protecting big who can finish with lobs at the rim, do a little things around the basket, very good passer. I mean, kind of Daniel Gafford role, but I think more skilled than Gafford.
And Derek Lively, they had him too. So he's got I worry that they don't have a point of attack defender.
They think it can be Grimes, and we'll see.
Yes.
Quentin Grimes. But I do think they added – their defense is going to be the big question. Yeah. Offensively, they should be good. With obviously, they got the two big scorers. Then you got Kessler. I think they needed 3-and-D wings. Grimes, Colin Sexton. The rookie, we'll see, but he projects to be that type of player, Cameron Carr. And so they improved. They got a big, and we'll see Mamu from Toronto, what he can do. I'd love it if they could get Kuminga. But my point is just that we had to build around Luka, and this is the type of team. They're not where the top two teams are in the West. But I think even if you put Minnesota 3, maybe with LaMelo, we'll see how that works out. But I think they're there with Denver. And again, that doesn't mean they're better. They were right there with Denver last year. It's just that, okay, we've now turned the page and we are building around Luka.
So I still have a lot of questions on if they are going to be good enough. Like you said, they did get younger. They added some athleticism, but I think you need a lot of real plus athletes around Luka defensively.
They got 3.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they have enough when your second highest paid player also needs help in that way with Reeves, right? He is a great.
But remember, Dallas didn't have a ton. They had a few athletes, and then Kyrie and Luka weren't great defensively. And that's what they got now.
And they made a run that was surprising, but they did make a run because Luka was great. If I was Luka, I would just be happy with the offseason because they're clearly listening to him. He wanted them to keep Reeves. They did. Right. He wanted a lob center who could defend the rim. They went heavy after Walker Kessler. He'd played with Grimes before. This is clear. His fingerprints are clearly all over this. So, for better or worse, my gut tells me worse. I think they're taking a step back this year. But, Luka is now – they're the Luka Lakers. Yeah. So he has been empowered here by this offseason.
So here's my concern. Because I do adore Luka, and as Brew has pointed out, that probably somewhat, at least somewhat fairly, the knives are going to continue to be out for him until he wins a championship. He's that level of player, and he actually, he has all these first-team All-NBAs, but he's been to one finals. That's it. He's never won an MVP. The guys of his Shea is, in most people's eyes, ascended past him. And now all of a sudden it's
understudy.
Right, exactly. It's Jalen Brunson's better than me too. I don't look at it as they are building a team for Luka. I look at it as they just built their team for Luka, and that's what it's going to be. They are not going to, over the next few transaction cycles, going to have cap space or draft picks to trade. So this team has to, even if it's, I understand it doesn't have to be good enough this year because they can get better, but the way they will get better is little tiny things around the edges and players improving. It's not, we have another big move coming.
Right.
And that concerns me. Because I agree with you guys. They are good enough to, if Luka has an MVP caliber season, they could be the 3 seed again. The West is really weird where you have these two awesome teams and a bunch of teams in a similar tier. But I don't see how that roster is going to be able to win 4 rounds in the playoffs, not only this year, but anytime soon.
I think that's...
And so that's why... If Walker Kessler were a true unrestricted free agent, they had signed him without trading away the draft picks, I would have said great offseason. If you were going to move on from LeBron, you did really well with it. To have traded away all your flexibility, that's what would concern me.
Let me ask you, what do you think would have been, because obviously it wasn't a lot of stuff to get out there, what do you think would have been the best thing for them this season? Just bring back LeBron?
I think that there is an argument. I know people are going to call me a homer for this, but I think it was a correct take. I think there was an argument that during last year they should have really more strongly considered flipping Austin for a guy that is more
keeping LeBron,
flipping Austin, and even set LeBron aside, just Austin for I said during the year like a Jalen Duren type, someone with that. You use that salary slot on someone who's not as duplicative of Luka, and then you have your third big salary spot for something else. That's what I would have considered, but they didn't go that route. I just think it's going to be a hard build, and now they don't have a lot of flexibility. All right, coming up next, what's next for U.S. soccer, and what does Dax think about Pochettino's future with the team? And we're counting down to Spain, Belgium. Bruise guy, Lamine Yamal.
Let's go,
taking
baby.
on Belgium in 1 day, 4 hours, and 11 minutes from, I got to tell you, I've seen this video of the Santa Monica Pier 100 times. It looks awesome every time.
Yeah.
It really, L.A., nice city. That's in 28 hours on Fox. America's still reeling from a 4-1 loss to Belgium.
Molten lava.
A lot of questions about the future of the team. Dax, including what to do with head coach Mauricio Pochettino, other than buy him some more of those awesome shirts. Fox Sports' Doug McIntyre has this headline. For U.S. soccer, hiring Mauricio Pochettino was a coup. Bringing him back, indefensible. Saying, quote, the standard Pochettino holds his players to also applies to him. Had the 54-year-old overseen the sort of capitulation needed on Monday with his national team, meaning Argentina, at a World Cup hosted in his home country, he'd have been fired before leaving the stadium. Same in Brazil or France or Germany or any of the other nations whose success the U.S. hopes to one day emulate. Dax, your thoughts?
My man, really like Doug. I think he's a very good journalist. The use of the word indefensible here is
indefensible.
Indefensible. Come on, Doug. That the usage of that word.
Now, he probably didn't do the headline.
Yes.
That
okay, fair.
Is what
but
happens.
again, for me, you can argue it both ways. I absolutely.
Do you think?
I absolutely see his point with Mauricio Pochettino, and he made. Now, I disagree with him. He made some good points in the article in terms of Pochettino. He was hired to take us beyond what we have been before. He was not great against European competition. I believe he only won one game against Bosnia. 1-7. So, look, there are plenty of little nits to pick with Mauricio Pochettino. I wasn't really enthralled with the inconsistency with which we played with leading up to this World Cup. Some of his lineup decisions, some of his tinkering, playing Christian Pulisic as a false nine, playing Timothy Weah as a right fullback against Belgium, where Jeremy Doku went wild. There were some things that I wasn't enamored with. But you have to rewind to the 2024 Copa America to remember where we were as a national team. It was a complete crisis. It was a disaster. Greg Berhalter lost his job. We were the first host country to ever not advance out of a group stage of a Copa America on home soil. And we needed someone to come in and stabilize the ship. And I'd argue we needed someone to come in and reset the culture because our best players, our golden generation of talented players, there was an air of arrogance that had crept into this team, an air of expectation that no matter what happens, I am going to be on the field. And we needed a manager that was big enough and strong enough to be able to reset the culture of this team. Mauricio Pochettino did that. Now, his mandate was the World Cup. His friendly results, fair enough. His mandate was the World Cup. Can you take us further? Can you do more? Now, I am not going to be a person that sits up here and judges our players solely on one performance. Was it unbelievably disappointing? Yes. Was it a failure? Yes. But that doesn't mean all the good that they built up in the tournament.
And that applies to the coach, too.
It applies to the coach, too, Nick. Yep. Exactly right. So I am not going to judge him by that standard because we set multiple records in this World Cup. We had multiple, not just wins against teams that we should have beaten. It wasn't a success. It wasn't a failure. We maintained the standard we should have maintained. But it was the way with which we did it. It was the performances that were so positive and so encouraging from a coach who is world-renowned for being a great tactician. Did he fall flat in the biggest game? Yes, he did. But I still believe that with a full 4-year cycle, he would be able to get the best out of this group. He would be able to bring in new talent to be able to help, I think, subsidize some of the weaknesses in this player pool. And I believe that he wants to be here.
Well,
I really do. That is the biggest question mark. He will have other opportunities. I'm certain about it. But if he wants to be here, and I believe he does, I think we should give him another 4-year cycle and see if he can take us to that next level, which we all want for U.S. soccer.
Do you think he coaches Pulisic any differently and thus the team going forward? Just because Pulisic's taken some hits.
He has.
So he's not.
Like, does he have more license now?
Here's the best part about Mauricio Pochettino. I don't think he coaches anyone any differently because he already established the culture of it is my way. You are going to do it the way that I want to do it. He has the bravado and the resume to be able to back it up, so no player is bigger than the team. He did that already with Christian Pulisic.
Right, he called him out.
You guys might, I don't know if you guys remember the nuance of everything that happened during the Gold Cup summer.
Cup,
He said, I want to play in the friendlies. I don't want to play in the Gold Cup. And Pochettino said no.
Yeah.
We want players who are going to be here when we want to call you in for the tournaments we want. And so I love that Pochettino drew a line in the sand because Pulisic was the face of the team and our best player. He absolutely did the right thing. I don't really believe he coaches him any differently. I still think he can push Pulisic to be better, along with all of our other players.
I also think, and I'll go to you, Danny, that there is a true benefit from just having a level of consistency for a full cycle and not starting it over again. That even if somebody were able to come out here and be like, hey, here are the egregious mistakes he made, and here's a manager available that wouldn't make them, that would love the job. Even under that circumstance, I'm not certain a change would be the right thing, because you have to, it's starting from scratch is, to me, it's just such a drawback to it.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if he had a full cycle going into this World Cup, but he didn't. So it definitely feels like he deserves a full 4-year run, which then would be basically a 6-year run in the lead up to the 2030 World Cup. So I'm with all of you guys. I would bring him back. What I do appreciate about the article is after the game where they laid such an egg, there was so much criticism of Pulisic and of Fries and of Ream. But everyone else also was saying, like, man, we just came out flat. Looked like we were unprepared.
Yeah.
We were rattled. We were the favorites, but we lost at home. All of those things, if I said that about an NBA Finals game, about an NFL playoff game, whatever, the coach would take a ton of heat.
Sure.
And until this article, he didn't really take any heat.
And to be fair to Pochettino, we had started every single game in this World Cup fantastically well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I put some blame on Pochettino. He cannot be absolved of any, but the players deserve a majority of that blame.
I agree with that.
And the bigger issue I had with the article is, Doug, do not compare us to Argentina.
Well, that
like, come on, man. Like, we do not have their footballing
all of
history,
those teams
culture. We do not have Lionel Messi, okay? So we are not there yet. Yes, we want to strive to be there. I do believe Pochettino has planted some seeds that if he accepts another 4-year job would be able to get us closer to where we want to be.
I totally agree. All right, coming up next, speaking of Argentina, is Messi under duress? I'm guessing no, maybe yes. We'll find out. And we're counting down to Norway, England. There's Dax's guy, Harry Kane. I underestimated him, I will admit.
Come on, Harry.
I blame the Lego Corporation for not giving him his own figurine.
Thanks for counting.
They are playing Norway, England, 5 o'clock Eastern on Fox Live from Miami in 2 days. We'll be right back on First Things First. Live from New York, it's the show that is very excited about these next 3 days of games, and also very sad. There's only 8 games left in the World Cup.
It's been fun.
Yesterday was jarring.
Do Moroccan fans know when you wore that crazy Brazil hat and went to watch them in person what happened?
They lost, and I have from the same lady I bought the Brazil hat from, I bought a Morocco hat, and I'll be wearing that as well.
Sorry, Morocco.
The track record is
Sorry.
Oh, for one. You know what we call that?
Morocco.
Small sample size, America.
Be worried.
Very
Be
close
very
to being
worried.
0 for 2
It's the
with
second
Argentina.
hour of First Things
Be
First.
afraid.
Coming up,
Very afraid.
Christian Pulisic is staying positive. That's good. Is this just the start for U.S. soccer? And
Haven't heard that before.
Danny's Bears, second best supporting cast for Caleb Williams, which basically means if he doesn't win MVP, he's holding him back.
Okay.
Real talk.
We're ready.
I mean, honestly,
No
we're ready.
excuses.
The Brews wondering, is he the weak link? No, it's brilliant. But right now, it's time for some motivation. Wilds is out.
Wow.
Christina's not around until the afternoon
The
block
OT.
with the OT. So I personally had to go to the post office. And got this letter.
Wow.
It costs a lot to send something this big.
Yeah.
Hold on. Gosh, this is quite sealed. So I have
Super
a letter. My God.
Wow.
Dear Nick, they knew Wilds was out. First off, love the show. Thank you. Was watching yesterday and loved the video of Argentina tossing Messi in the air. I was wondering if that's how you guys celebrate a good show. Thanks, Ryan and Brian. So that is, delightful. And what you're seeing, look at that. Yeah. There's KW, me, Dax, Danny, all tossing our elder statesman leader.
Right. Our goat.
Cowboy Brew.
That looks like me. No belly.
No, well, that's the thing is that the belly's in real life and in the Photoshop kind of gone now, and now it's easier to toss Brew in the air.
I wish I looked happier
after great shows. Oh yeah, you're looking a little stoked. That is true.
You can find plenty of pictures.
All right, I came here to work.
Brew, time for the Bud list.
All right, here we go. Number 3, we are staying with the World Cup. Messi.
Wow, he is on there.
I'm not being messy. This is pure motivation. Did I?
We got it.
Pure motivation. Dax, the Bud list is either an indictment or an inspiration. This is pure inspiration because obviously Messi is playing great, largely viewed as the GOAT already. At 39, doing nothing but adding to his case, right? All right, so you've accomplished just about everything, but there's still more you can do. So go out with a bang. Number 1, you could lead Argentina to the first repeat championship, back-to-back World Cups, in 64 years. Yeah. Since 1962, that would be incredible and a great check on the resume. Secondly, you're already right now the leader, all-time goal-scoring leader in the World Cup. You got 21. You took it over during this tournament. But Mbappe is right on your heels with 19. So you want to leave this tournament. He may eventually pass you later in future years, but you want to leave this tournament as the number 1 all-time goal-scorer in World Cup history. Thirdly, win the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
For all your greatness and your accomplishments, you haven't done that. That is something you can achieve. Again, you are in the lead right now with 8, but Mbappe and Haaland are right on your tail with 7. And, you want to hold those guys off. Now, if you just get one of those achievements, that is fantastic. Again, especially at 39 years old. If you get all 3, my goodness, that is something special. And look, I got to be honest. I've got you losing to England in the next round, in the semis. But I believe in you, Messi. Go get it in your one game that you got left.
England and still do 2 of those 3 things. Win
the
Golden Boot and still have the record.
You'd have 2 games left. All right, let's go to the NBA. Jaylen Brown.
Wow.
All right, you understand this. Now,
that makes sense.
Jaylen, this should be your attitude. What an opportunity. What an opportunity. Now, clearly the Boston Celtics have undervalued you. Really, maybe since you've been there, okay? In 2022, all you do is lead them to their first finals appearance in 12 years, and all they do is shop you for Kevin Durant, all right? Then in 2024, you go ahead and lead them to their first championship in 16 years. Then you lead them last season to 56 wins without Jason Tatum. And all they do is shop you for Giannis and then don't trade you because they didn't want to give up Baylor Shireman or maybe Hugo Gonzalez, and then finally do trade you for an injury-riddled 36-year-old, past his prime, highly paid Paul George. And to add insult to injury, they trade you within the division to the team that's a long-time rivalry, decades-long rival, and a team that just beat you in the playoffs. Jaylen, make them pay, all right? And then it's not just them. It's the whole league. We saw one anonymous executive say you would be the 7th best player on a team. Not the championship team. That would be an insult, too. But just any team. You're the 7th best player. It's ridiculous. And obviously teams did not just offer up great packages for you in the trade value. So make them pay as well, Jaylen. All right, so go look at this as an opportunity. Every time you play Boston, take it to them. And, you got a nice little team in Philadelphia. Let's see what you can do there. Jalen, you know I do believe in you. And at number 1, let's go back to the World Cup. Lamine Yamal.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Lamine, you are the reason I picked Spain to win the whole thing. All right, all I heard about entering this tournament was you are next. Messi has been the guy. You are going to take the throne from him. He's going to pass the torch to you. And I just got to be honest, so far, I've been a bit underwhelmed. You haven't been bad, but you haven't, taken the tournament by storm, to say the least. Have played well. I read this, Dax, that he has led the tournament in what do they call them?
1v1 take-on?
Yeah, take-on. So you got 17 of those. It shows your dribbling skills have been great, but only 1 goal. And you were ranked by FoxSports.com as the number 1 player in the tournament. Entering this tournament, you were number 1, not Messi, not Mbappe, not Haaland, any of those guys, you. All right, now, you guys are playing great soccer. You look like you have several games left. There is time for you to, I won't say redeem yourself because you haven't been bad, but kind of to step up. We know you have the hamstring injury. You've been playing through it. It seems like you're close to 100% now. Now is the time to shine. If you shine in this final 8, nobody will remember that you haven't been at your best in the early rounds. So, Lamine, again, I picked you guys to win it all. So I do believe in you.
Great bud list, bro.
Thank you.
Great bud list.
Very
Dax?
Lamine Yamal was absolutely deserving of being number 1 on your list, so much so that, in fact, I would like
to add on
to that, but you did a great job. I'm going in the same World Cup verse, and instead of a player, I am going coach.
Oh.
A coach who was brought in to win the World Cup. And I'm talking to you, Thomas Tuchel. And this is not necessarily an indictment on Tuchel, more of an inspiration. I like that vein of what the Bud List is about, inspiring. But when Thomas Tuchel was brought in to be the manager of England, this was his first international job. He had only coached club teams. And his resume with club teams in Europe is pretty sparkling. He's won the Club World Cup, he's won the Champions League, he's won the Bundesliga, he's won Liga, and he is widely regarded as one of the best tacticians in world football. And yet, I have remained underwhelmed by the English performances. In the group stage, you had 1 good half against Croatia, and then you got bailed out in the second half by some good substitutions. Underwhelming performance against Ghana, and an underwhelming performance against Panama. You were 15 minutes away from getting upset and knocked out of the tournament by DR Congo until Harry Kane put on his Superman cape and saved you. And then you alleviated a ton of the pressure that seemingly was mounting with a great performance, a historic performance at Azteca. The first win by an opponent in 13 years down at that cauldron. Well, we call it Mexico City Stadium. Sorry, apologies. You had great performances from Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, and you tactically made the right decisions to help your team. And now, there were a lot of question marks about your squad selection coming into the tournament, and you will be tested against Norway with your right fullback selection. Reece James, I don't think he's back to full fitness. How are you going to maneuver and operate your team to make sure that you continue on in this tournament, but where, by the way, you haven't won the World Cup in 60 years. This is a massive moment for the country. No foreign manager has ever won a World Cup, and the English are expecting it to come home. So how are you going to set your team up against Erling Haaland, who I know your defenders will know him well? 3 Manchester City teammates are most likely going to be in the lineup against him. But even though they may know him well, he knows them well. It's a two-way street. So how are you going to set your team up to stop potentially one of the most dangerous strikers, not potentially, one of the most dangerous strikers in the tournament, and set up your best ever player, Harry Kane, for success against the Norway team, who you should beat? Because if you lose this game, it will be an abject failure. The last 3 major tournaments for England, you've made it to the final of back-to-back Euros, and you lost in the quarterfinal in 2022 to France, who everyone thinks is one of the best teams in the world. You cannot lose to Norway. The pressure's on. I think you can do it, Tuchel.
All
You know what
right, I like
KW
that.
would say about the Holland piece? They should double team it. If KW were here, he'd be like, you know what? Double team.
Seems like a pretty sound strategy.
Cover Holland
Bold
is what
strategy
KW would say.
guy.
Danny, who do you got?
I wanted to add a little bit more basketball flavor to your Bud list because we're all going to be watching the France-Morocco game, not in person like Nick, but after that.
Speaking of that, I do have to go.
Yeah, but after that game wraps up and we watch all of the post-match coverage, might be time for the signature event of Summer League. I'm putting Darren Peterson on the Bud list. I said before the draft that Darren Peterson should be the number 1 pick in the draft. I think he could be Ant Edwards with defense, Devin Booker with defense. I think he can be an absolutely spectacular MVP level player. And in his first Summer League game, he had 28 points, but only 2 assists. And apparently Will Hardy, their excellent coach, has been meeting with him to go over all of the clips, and he's been talking with Keontae George, his backcourt mate in Utah, and a breakout player. And he's like, hey, don't forget, we need you to be a facilitator and a playmaker here. And in his second Summer League game, he had 25 points and 12 assists. Well, tonight he gets to take on AJ Debinsa. Debinsa hasn't played yet in Summer League, so it's the number 1 pick against the number 2 pick. And if you remember, Darren Peterson before the draft would not work out for Utah, only worked out for Washington because he wanted to prove to the Wizards that they were going to make the wrong pick with Debinsa. So he gets to make a statement to the country if they're watching, but more specifically to Debinsa, who he dominated in high school, and Washington, that they made the wrong decision. Darren Peterson, I believe in you.
I like that. Well, and you could put Debinsa
on
under duress. He's got to go out there.
Yeah, I just wanted to give. You said sometimes it's just a shout, and it's just Darren Peterson, best player.
He's
in this
been
draft.
great so far.
Absolutely. A lot of pressure on me today. Sports media ombudsman after last week.
Yeah, you had a big one.
And
I don't know how to take that last.
So, well, I mean, I impacted the world's greatest tournament with my take, and it got all the way to the White House, and because of that, arguably, if not for last week's sports media ombudsman, we would have lost 7-0. Who knows?
Potentially.
And so now there's more. Some might say they'd be wrong. Knowing all the eyeballs that are on the sports media ombudsman, I did what any wise man would do. I'm going to kiss up to the bosses. World Cup, providing a blueprint to all American sports. Y'all seen these ratings? Oh, I don't know. 27 million people watched the U.S. take on Bosnia. Okay, but that's just U.S. fever. Well, let's see some of these other games. Just roll through them, Dust, if you would. And what you're going to 15 million people. That's 10 times how many people live in Cape Verde, maybe 100 times, watched that game. 10 million watched Colombia take on Ghana. How about these games? Hey, Morocco, Canada got almost 9 million people. Brazil, Norway got 15 million people. More rating stuff. And there's a moral to this story. 21 million people. I don't even remember which game that was. I can't read it. That was England, Mexico. 21 million people. The U.S. isn't even involved. And then the U.S. game, a nice, smooth 30 million people. Most watched soccer telecast in U.S. history. What is the learn from this? Because everything is saying, what we keep saying is the biggest rated event since this NFL game, since that NFL game. 2 learns from it. For the other sports, even if people don't consider themselves diehards for your sport, baseball or basketball or international competition, if you treat it like it is the biggest thing in the world, people will take notice. Also, a little sidebar, old linear cable, still just chugging along. You know what people like? Being able to turn on the TV, not have to wait for an app to load or figure out, the little thing. They like that. And listen, the World Cup is every 4 years. It's the greatest tournament in the world. I understand that. You can't ask others. You can't have this level of production and everything dedicated to any individual thing. But any idea that, this sport can't get, more than a few million people, it's just not true. Like there was a soccer game that did not involve the United States that did 20 million people on a Sunday night. There was and a lot of that is the games have been great, but a lot of that also, again, be a company man, but I'm being serious. We have treated the network, not us, we hopefully have as well, has treated it with the respect it deserves, with the attention it deserves, the production quality it deserves, and America's taking notice. And so as sports media ombudsman, I would like to congratulate my bosses.
It's shameless. I can't
really
argue
would
with
like
your
to
success.
congratulate my bosses.
I'm gonna take notes about
coming up next.
I also would like to congratulate my bosses.
Yeah.
Are the Ravens doing enough to support Lamar? And we're counting down to France, Morocco, and I really do have to go. Today at 4 Eastern, live from Boston, Elise, Mbappe, Dembele, the whole crew, and all of Morocco's guys, little old Hakimi. I think he's got a chance, though. We'll discuss that more and a little Ravens talk next. First things first. Back here on First Things First, counting down to Argentina, Switzerland, Saturday, 9 Eastern on Fox, live from a great city to spend a long weekend or raise a family. I don't recommend you do a 10-day vacation there, though. like a nice holiday weekend or lay down roots for 50 years.
That is totally fair.
Live from Kansas City. All right, let's quickly go to the other football, American football. CBS Sports ranked all 32 supporting cast. This involves play caller, O-line, weapons, everything involved in your offensive operation outside of your quarterback, Brew. Coming in at number 22, your Ravens. Brew, are you worried your Ravens are asking too much of Lamar? And or, bonus question, as well as say, do you take issue with the ranking?
It feels low. I mean, I guess they're saying Declan Doyle, great resume, but young, unknown.
The article said any new play caller, they just give a league average grade to, like a 3 out of 5. So they gave him a 3 out of 5.
He doesn't have a glowing wide receiver group. I think it's good enough, but
you like Zay Flowers more than I do. Yep.
Yeah, but it's a average, maybe a little above average. He lost Isaiah Likely, which I think is a big loss, but it did seem low. I don't know. Does that mean no pressure on Lamar? But no. Look, I don't think they're asking too much at all. Number one, you're a 2-time MVP. We've talked about it. The only one never to win the league championship, whether it was a championship pre-Super Bowl or since with the Super Bowl. So there's that $260 million contract. All right. You have Derrick Henry as your running back. You got a revamped offensive line. You have a new head coach and OC that he apparently signed off on, certainly with the head coach. And he's been talked really, fondly of Doyle and what he's bringing with the new offense. And Lamar hasn't been terrible in the playoffs the last few years, but he hasn't been what he was in the regular season. So I don't think they're asking too much. I think on paper they have plenty and they have enough to get out of the AFC and even win the whole thing. So, no, I don't think they're asking too much of him at all.
I thought the ranking was just right. And when I read when I read the article and how they actually do it, quarterback isn't factored in, new play caller gets an average grade, not factoring in your defense. Because I think there's a chance the best thing that Lamar has going for him this year is the defense. Like if Madubuike comes back and Minter, who overachieved with the talent they had with the Chargers, gets this talent to play to the level that they are. Like they could be the best secondary in football if they get some breaks with health. They still have Roquan. Their pass rush was atrocious, arguably the worst in the NFL last year after Madubuike's injury. But they don't factor in defense to the rankings. Like Rashad Bateman.
Well, you got Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry is the thing.
But Derrick Henry's 32. You lose Linderbaum, maybe the best center in football. You lose Likely. Rashad Bateman's your number 2 wide receiver. He had 19 catches. It's not a very talented offensive group around Lamar Jackson. It isn't.
So I think the 3 best and most accomplished quarterbacks in the AFC, Josh, Lamar, and Patrick, I think all have very similar receiving cores. Now you like DJ Moore more than
Burrow.
I
agree.
DJ
Moore might be the best.
He might be. I'm not as. But Zay Flowers had a far better year than DJ Moore last year. I think he had like double the yards of DJ Moore. I think Rashee Rice has shown the highest recent ceiling of any of them, but he's got some issues. And so none of them have, to me, elite or even above average receiving corps. And then they all have one awesome thing going for him. Lamar has Derrick Henry. Josh has far and away the best offensive line of the group. And Patrick should have Andy Reid. Like, I know he does have Andy Reid,
he's
but that
had
should
Kelsey
be
in the past.
right. No, but I'm talking about for this year. For the and so I think this ranking is fair-ish if they are. To me, they are incorporating not a fall off for Derrick Henry, but a slight drop, which I think is fair at his age. And that's when you have super high-paid MVP quarterback. He is asked to do more with less. And other than Burrow, all of those guys, in his fraternity in the AFC are asked to do more with less. Burrow maybe regrets that he's not asked to do more with less, because then they could have more assets, resources to the defense, and then maybe the team would be better. So ultimately, the Ravens, like the Bills, like the Chiefs, it's going to come down to, can your quarterback be a super-duper star, and then can your defense be really good to when the quarterback can't affect the game, when he's off the field. So no, I think this is a fair-ish ranking, and I don't think you can ask too much out of those guys. I think it's what they signed up for. Now, flip side of that coin, Danny's Bears.
Here we go.
Second best supporting cast. And by the way, it was tied for first.
That's right.
They had the same numerical score they gave them, essentially, with the number one team, the Rams.
With the Rams, yeah. They gave the edge to the Rams because Stafford was MVP last year.
Yeah. So, is Caleb perfectly set up to succeed? And also a bonus question. And is anything short of being an MVP finalist a stinging indictment?
Stinging indictment in year 3 might be harsh. I do expect him to be an MVP candidate this year. Like, flatly. I'm not running from that. Like, the Bears are building around offense, and they have an excellent offensive situation around him, led by one of, if not soon to be, the best head coach in the NFL, who happens to be a play caller. Like, obviously, Andy Reid is more accomplished and is.
Sean McVay's pretty good.
And Sean McVay would be number 2.
Yeah.
One of the best coaches.
Yeah,
soon to be one of the best coaches.
Danny thinks he's already
other than Andy Reid and Sean McVay. Like, I'd put him in the same tier as Kyle Shanahan. I would put him on that level.
Already?
Yes. Okay, I mean,
1 year?
With what he did as a play caller for multiple years in Detroit, because they judge play caller here on how they're ranking. For a play caller, a guy calling my offense.
Oh, well, so that's a different question.
Total head coach.
But go ahead.
But I mean, as a play caller.
How the article judges it
as a play caller.
He is awesome. And so that sets him up really nicely. Now, it is not a perfect situation because as of this moment in time, we do not know who the left tackle is, and that's a pretty big position. Yeah. It's probably going to be Braxton Jones, who started for them for the 3 years before last year. He came back from the injury. Their center retired. They went out and got Bradbury, who's a replacement level player, but also drafted a kid in the second round. But they got an all-pro right tackle. They got maybe the best offensive lineman in football. He's in the argument, Joe Thuney at left guard. He won the Protector of the Year. Colston Loveland should be a top 3 tight end, top 5 tight end. Luther Burden looked like he's about to be a breakout star. Odunze is very good. They drafted another tight end. They also have Cole Kmet. They also have DeAndre Swift. Like, it's a great situation for Caleb. And Caleb is as talented as any player in football.
So, right, but that doesn't.
I know. But you said for the MVP.
No,
part,
of
for
course.
Your bonus question.
So if I were you, I would not like them being ranked this high. Because yes, you're a Bears fan. I understand that, but you also have I think in a good way, you're almost more attached to Caleb's success than the Bears' success.
That's
and
fair.
I think this overrates the Bears supporting cast. I think they have an average offensive line and an average running back room. And I think above average, but not great pass catchers. Like, Colston Loveland looks like he's going to be excellent and was very good last year. And the receivers are, again, there's a lot of potential there. But I think we could pretty easily name 4 wide receiver rooms just in the NFC that are clearly better than the Bears. And listen, I agree. I think Ben Johnson, my money would be on Ben Johnson eventually being regarded as one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think Danny's maybe a year ahead of it, but I think he's en route to that. But I think saying that, that the Bears are, in the running for the best, that Caleb's in the best or second best situation of any quarterback in the league is overstating it, and it's almost making it to where anything short of being an MVP finalist, it's like, why isn't, what's wrong with Caleb?
No, according to this article, that's exactly what would be the problem.
Yeah, but coaching is such a big thing in the NFL, and when your head coach is your play caller, it's why Brock Purdy can put up MVP numbers for a stretch.
But that adds to it. Caleb better go out there and cook.
Yeah, I agree.
And not just in the last 7 minutes of the game.
I agree.
And if he doesn't, then it is on him.
But my point, Danny, is listen, and you know how much I like Ben Johnson. But in that conference is Sean McVay, is Kyle Shanahan, is guys I know you love a ton as play callers, Kevin O'Connell and Matt LaFleur. Like Ben Johnson could be an excellent offensive mind and the fifth best play caller in the conference of the guys I just mentioned. Like that's certainly on the board. And so I just think this is overstating how well set up the Bears are, at least a touch.
MVP.
Okay, well, yes. I mean, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
What it's saying is MVP.
He needs
to
be, with that supporting cast.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
One guy they drafted another tight end. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, they're ahead of the curve.
USA building on their World Cup run. We'll find out with Dax. Well, actually, I'll be watching on my phone because I'm leaving. Counting down to France, Morocco, which is where I'm headed right now. Today in 4 hours and 20 minutes. Can I get to my seat before kickoff? We will find out live from Boston. Rick says I'm going to get there at 3:28. That's his guess. We'll see.
Take me over.
We'll see. More First Things First without me after the break.
Back here on First Things First, we're counting down to France and Morocco. It's coming up in just over 4 hours from now on Fox, live from Boston. Nick Wright not in that crowd yet as he is on the way there. Now, Brew, we can speak freely now that he's gone. Are you okay with Nick leaving us?
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm looking at some days in the future.
Yeah.
Check out early.
Yeah. Little early bird special when you go back to afternoons. Right. I get it. All right. Let's talk U.S. soccer here. We got Dax McCarty back out with us. We have news on Christian Pulisic. It is a bone bruise and a microfracture in the lower leg that will require him to be out a couple of weeks. But
so a broken leg.
That is one way to frame it.
Technically.
You can technically say that. Yes,
technically say that.
Yes, you can.
But it's only going to be a couple of weeks, which is convenient with when the Milan season will get going. He also had this statement on Instagram. It's tough to find the words. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who believed. The support carried us all the way through. It simply wasn't good enough from us in the end, and I wanted to deliver so much more. I still feel blessed to be a part of this team. The memories this summer will last a lifetime. It's just the start for us and for this sport in America. Dax, we wanted to focus on the last part of that.
Yeah.
It's just the start for us and this sport in America. I remember when Freddie Adu was coming to save Team USA, right? And
we hear that every 4 years, by the way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And obviously Pulisic was supposed to be the star that would save it.
I heard, and I'm the oldest guy here, I remember hearing as a kid, preteen, that soccer was about to be the next big thing in America.
Yeah.
So I've heard this for literally 50 years.
So can we still say that we are at the start of soccer in America?
I don't think you can say that anymore because of your point, Brew. We say this every 4 years. Soccer is well established, I think, here in the United States. Maybe not amongst the mainstream like it typically is during the World Cup, but certainly now. The reason why I think that Pulisic's point stands is that when you have a World Cup every 4 years and the U.S. men's national team or even the U.S. women's national team, they go on their run, they do well, people forget about it relatively quickly when they get knocked out because it's not on home soil or it hasn't been on home soil in whatever it has been, 32 years. I think the fact that this World Cup was in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, and I think the fact that, as Nick pointed out in a couple segments ago, the exposure that it has gotten on TV in our cities with fans that might not really be big soccer fans. Right. They're coming into the tent now. They're seeing how exciting the sport can be on a global stage. I absolutely think you can look at that as a launch point for more investment in the game, more kids playing the game, more eyeballs on the game here in the U.S., Major League Soccer, United Soccer League, youth development in this country absolutely needs a refresh. It needs a reboot. I don't have all the answers. My kids are 7 and 4. We're just kind of starting to see the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what youth sports are and the cost of youth sports. I absolutely know from people that I trust and believe that it is an untenable situation right now in terms of how we develop players and how can we get to that next level. It does need to be refreshed, reformed, and so we need to come together and figure out a solution that doesn't work. We can't just copycat what works for France or Spain or Brazil or Portugal. We have to figure out for the United States of America, what is that magic bullet? What's going to be that golden pill that we can take as a country to where we say, all right, this is how we start developing not just better players, but world-class players.
Where we can compete.
Players that will make a difference on a global stage and a global level to where we're not having this conversation again in 4 years.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not a soccer expert, obviously, but from what I see, look, two of our guys who I think were probably our best players in this tournament. So Malik Tillman, raised in Germany.
Yep.
Flo Balogun, raised in England, London.
Yep.
And Pulisic, went to Germany when he was 16.
When he was young.
Right. So there seems to be something with our development here. And also, and this is now not just soccer. It's certainly has become baseball.
Sure.
And even some people are basketball starting to be like this, where it's expensive to play. So with soccer, are we eliminating maybe lower income players, where a lot of our greatest athletes have always come from kind of our pool of talent? So are those issues is that an issue that you think, like, how do we address that?
That's absolutely an issue, bro. And that's why I say you need people to come together and try to figure out, does the government need to get involved in this? Is this strictly a U.S. soccer issue? Is this a private issue where you'd like to see massive corporations, billion-dollar companies like Nike, Adidas, start to try to maybe subsidize maybe some of these more quote-unquote free academies, where you can bring kids into the tent and they don't have to pay for uniforms and cleats and fields and all of this stuff. And maybe the focus when kids are very young should be less on it's all about winning and it's all about the clubs making money. Should be about development, developing your technical skills, making sure that you understand the different nuances of the game. Have fun. Let kids have fun when they're young.
The jerseys and the cleats is just, that's the smallest part, right?
Exactly.
It's paying the coaches and paying for travel.
And people deserve to make a living that way, but there are solutions out there. I know that there are a lot smarter people than me or any of us to be able to figure this out, but it certainly is an issue, and it's an issue we've had for years. Yeah.
I'm glad Balogun chose to play for the U.S., but imagine if he didn't. We would be talking about, did the U.S. really take a step forward in this tournament?
Did he have an option as well? Yeah. Like, he could have played?
Yeah, they had, but
he
Balogun
could have played for Germany.
Yeah. Balogun with the goal scoring, like, we found the striker that we finally needed.
Yeah.
What if
without him?
Are we even talking about that this World Cup was huge progress because we would have been winning games with a very small margin? So still a ways to go to get to the top teams. Nick has a ways to go to get to this game.